How to remember words. Alex woke up, sunlight streaming through his window. Another day, another battle. His mind was a dictionary of English words, a library of phrases, yet his tongue felt glued. He understood complex documentaries and rapid-fire podcasts with ease, comprehending every nuance and subtle joke. But the moment he tried to articulate a simple sentence, a strange, profound silence enveloped him completely, trapping his thoughts inside his head. This daily struggle was incredibly frustrating for Alex. He watched his colleagues effortlessly switch between languages, their English flowing like a clear, uninhibited stream. Their conversations sounded so natural, their pronunciation so confident, unlike his own halting, hesitant attempts. He admired their fluency from a distance, feeling an invisible wall separate him from their vibrant discussions. How did they achieve such conversational mastery? He often wondered, feeling a pang of inadequacy. It was truly perplexing. "I understand English, but I can't speak well," he'd whisper to himself, a constant, echoing lament. This wasn't merely about communication. It was about connection, about expressing his authentic self. He yearned to participate fully in international meetings, to share his ideas without fear or hesitation. The desire to speak English fluently burned within him, a powerful, unwavering flame. He knew he needed a breakthrough. His journey began with reading, a comfortable starting point. "Why you must read English," an article advised, highlighting vocabulary expansion and grammar absorption. He devoured articles, novels, and news feeds, consciously noting new word patterns. Reading became his silent mentor, teaching him syntax and rhythm without the pressure of immediate response. It was a foundational step towards fluency. Each new book opened a window to different expressions, to natural phrasing used by native speakers. He started recognizing idioms and colloquialisms that had previously baffled him in conversations. This consistent exposure through reading gradually built a robust mental database of English structures. He felt his passive vocabulary grow immensely, preparing the ground for active use. Then came listening. He diligently followed the advice. Listen English, listen constantly. Podcasts filled his commutes, audiobooks accompanied his chores, and YouTube tutorials became his bedtime stories. He immersed himself in various accents, from crisp British to laid-back American, training his ear to discern subtle differences effortlessly. This constant auditory input was crucial for him. He didn't just listen. He actively listened, trying to mimic intonation and stress patterns silently. He focused on how other people talk in English, their speed, their pauses, their emotional nuances. This deep listening practice helped him internalize the flow of spoken English, moving beyond mere comprehension. He was absorbing the music of the language. Despite his dedicated reading and listening, the speaking barrier remained stubbornly intact. He could perfectly understand complex discussions, even predict responses, yet his own mouth refused to cooperate. The frustration mounted. "I understand English, but I can't speak well," echoed louder than ever. Felt like a cruel linguistic joke. One evening, sharing his woes with an old university friend, Sarah, she listened intently. Sarah, an accomplished polyglot, smiled knowingly. "Alex," she began, "your problem is common but solvable. Let me tell you talking tips that truly worked for me." Her calm assurance offered a glimmer of hope amidst his despair. He leaned forward eagerly. "First," Sarah explained, You must practice speaking, even if it's just to yourself. Why you should practice speaking isn't just a suggestion. It's a command. She emphasized the importance of muscle memory for the tongue and mouth. Your brain knows now your vocal cords need to catch up. Start small, start anywhere. Alex started talking to himself in the shower, narrating his day, describing objects around him. He felt silly initially, but he persisted. He recorded his voice, playing it back, wincing at his mispronunciations, then trying again. This self-dialogue was awkward but liberating, slowly breaking down the mental block of speaking aloud. Next, Sarah continued, when you listen, don't just understand. Focus on how other people talk in English, specifically their sentence structures, their transition words. Try to replicate those patterns immediately after hearing them. This was active listening with a speaking goal, a powerful shift in his approach. So, Alex began shadowing, repeating phrases right after the speaker in podcasts. He mimicked accents, intonation, even the speed. It was like a linguistic workout, strengthening his vocal apparatus. He realized that effective listening wasn't just about comprehension. It was about absorbing the nuances for active production. Now, how to remember words is a very interesting story. Sarah winked. My trick was visualization and association. Don't just list words. Create vivid, often absurd, mental images connecting the new word to something you already know. Alex was intrigued by this unconventional approach to vocabulary. She gave an example. For ubiquitous, meaning everywhere, I imagine tiny, agitated bees (bis) buzzing ubiquitously around a giant purple cube. Alex chuckled. The sheer absurdity made it memorable. This was far more engaging than rote memorization, transforming a chore into a creative game. Connect words to emotions, to personal experiences, Sarah added. If a word describes something that made you laugh or cry, you'll remember it forever. Emotional tags are incredibly powerful memory anchors. Alex started associating new vocabulary with his own life events, making them stick. Most importantly, Sarah concluded, embrace imperfection. How to learn English isn't about being perfect from day one. It's about progress, not perfection. You will make mistakes, that's how you learn. Don't let fear of error silence you. This was the hardest hurdle for Alex. This advice resonated deeply. Alex's biggest block was indeed the fear of sounding foolish. Sarah's words were a liberating mantra. He started viewing mistakes as learning opportunities, stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. The pressure to be flawless began to dissipate. He began joining online English-speaking groups, initially just listening. Then, hesitantly, he typed a question. Soon he was uttering a single word, then a short phrase. Each small verbal victory chipped away at his long-standing anxiety. The path was gradual but discernible. His daily routine transformed. Mornings began with reading news articles aloud. Commutes were filled with shadowing podcasts. Lunch breaks involved mentally narrating his thoughts in English. Evenings were dedicated to his absurd word associations and short speaking practice sessions with newfound online friends. He continued observing how other people talk in English, not to compare himself negatively, but to learn from their fluency. He paid attention to natural pauses, fillers, and conversational cues. This observation became a tool for refinement, not self-criticism. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, his confidence grew. The gap between what he understood and what he could articulate began to narrow. The words once trapped found pathways to his lips. He realized that consistent, brave effort was the true key to unlocking his voice. One day during a team meeting, a complex issue arose. Instinctively, Alex formulated his opinion, not in his head, but on his tongue. He took a deep breath. "I believe we should consider." He started, his voice steady, his English clear. A hush fell. He continued speaking, articulating his points logically, fluently. His colleagues listened, some nodding in agreement. When he finished, there was a moment of silence, then applause. He hadn't stuttered, hadn't frozen. It was a monumental breakthrough, almost unbelievable. A wave of relief and exhilaration washed over him. The years of struggle, the countless hours of reading and listening, the awkward self-talk, all culminated in this single moment of triumph. He felt a lightness, a freedom he hadn't experienced before. He knew this wasn't the end of his learning journey, but a powerful new beginning. He understood now that learning a language, especially speaking it, was a marathon, not a sprint. It required patience, persistence, and a willingness to step out of his comfort zone continually. Sarah's "let me tell you" talking tips proved invaluable. Her emphasis on practicing, on connecting with words, and on embracing imperfection had fundamentally reshaped his approach. These weren't just tips. They were a roadmap to linguistic liberation. Why you should practice speaking echoed in his mind. He truly understood its profound importance now. Consistent verbalization, even if flawed, was the only way to transform passive knowledge into active, confident communication. There was no shortcut around it. And why you must read English? Its contribution was undeniable. Reading provided the rich tapestry of vocabulary and grammatical structures that formed the bedrock of his newfound fluency. It was the silent, steady companion throughout his arduous journey. Listen English had fine-tuned his ear, familiarized him with rhythm and natural flow. It enabled him to understand nuanced conversations and respond appropriately. Listening was the compass guiding his spoken word, ensuring he sounded natural and authentic. He remembered "my daily day's struggle" vividly. The dread, the frustration, the feeling of being trapped within his own linguistic limitations. It made this victory all the sweeter. A testament to overcoming adversity through sheer determination and smart strategies. The phrase "I understand English but I can't speak well" was now a relic of the past. He had bridged that painful chasm. The ability to comprehend was no longer isolated from the ability to articulate, but seamlessly integrated into a fluid communication process. Observing how other people talk in English no longer filled him with despair but with inspiration. He now saw them as fellow travelers on the language journey, their fluency a beacon, not a barrier. He learned from their interactions, honing his own skills. How to learn English was no longer a mystery. It wasn't about finding a magic bullet, but about combining consistent exposure, reading, listening, active practice speaking, and clever memory techniques. It was a holistic, integrated approach. The very interesting story of remembering words, particularly Sarah's vivid imagery, became a cornerstone of his vocabulary retention. He continued to create outrageous mental pictures, making learning new words a delightful, creative exercise, far from tedious. His journey was about more than just speaking English. It was about genuine connection. He could now engage in deeper conversations, express his humor, and share his insights fully. Language had become a bridge, not a wall, fostering richer relationships. He found himself more confident in international settings, unafraid to contribute, to lead discussions. The world felt smaller, more accessible. Now that language was no longer a formidable obstacle. His career prospects broadened significantly as well. Alex started sharing his story, his struggles, and his breakthroughs with others who faced similar challenges. He became an informal mentor, offering encouragement and practical advice, echoing Sarah's wisdom. He wanted to empower others to find their voice. He maintained his daily English routine, understanding that language learning is a lifelong process. There were always new words to learn, new nuances to master, and new ways to express himself. The journey of improvement continued joyfully. He continued to diligently read diverse materials, from technical journals to historical fiction, absorbing specialized vocabulary and complex sentence structures. Reading remained his quiet anchor, constantly enriching his passive knowledge base. It solidified his understanding. His listening evolved. He started comprehending subtle humor, sarcasm, and cultural references that previously flew over his head. He could now enjoy English-language comedy shows and nuanced debates without missing a beat, further deepening his immersion. His speaking practice also became more strategic. Instead of just talking, he engaged in debates, presented ideas, and practiced persuasive language. He sought out opportunities to use English in real-life scenarios, pushing his boundaries consistently. Even now, he occasionally stumbled or made grammatical errors. But the fear was gone. He simply corrected himself or laughed it off, moving forward with the conversation. Embracing imperfection was not a one-time act but a continuous mindset. The joy of expressing himself freely in English was immense. It was a feeling of liberation, of true self-actualization. His personality, once constrained by linguistic barriers, could now shine through, clear and uninhibited, for all to experience. He felt like a more complete person. His ability to navigate the English-speaking world with confidence added a new dimension to his identity. He was no longer the one who understood but couldn't speak, but a confident, articulate communicator. He often found himself reflecting on Sarah's "let me tell you" talking tips, and adding his own experiences to them. His tips would always emphasize consistency, courage, and creative engagement with the language. It was a shared wisdom now. He would strongly advocate why you should practice speaking, citing his own transformation as living proof. The act of speaking, even imperfectly, was the bridge between knowing and doing, between passive understanding and active fluency. Why you must read English became his unwavering counsel for vocabulary and structure. He stressed varied reading materials to broaden horizons and adapt to different contexts. Reading provided the bedrock for eloquent expression, and Listen English was indispensable. He explained how active listening prepared the mind for verbal output, tuning the ear to native rhythms and expressions. Listening was the constant immersion that built intuitive understanding. He never forgot "my daily day's struggle" and shared it openly, making others feel less alone. He acknowledged the pain of "I understand English but I can't speak well," validating their feelings and offering a tangible path forward. His advice on how other people talk in English evolved from comparison to constructive observation. He encouraged analyzing their techniques, their choice of words, their confidence, and learning from these linguistic role models proactively. How to learn English was no longer a daunting mystery for him or for those he inspired. It was a clear, actionable process, achievable for anyone with dedication. He simplified the journey, making it seem less intimidating and more attainable. The How to Remember Words, very interesting story, remained a favorite anecdote. He would illustrate Sarah's methods with his own hilarious mnemonic examples, proving that learning could be engaging and even fun, not just a chore. Alex became a champion for aspiring English speakers, embodying the journey from struggle to success. His story served as a powerful testament to the fact that fluency is not an innate gift, but a skill honed through consistent, smart effort. He even started dreaming of teaching English himself someday, leveraging his unique perspective as a former struggler. His personal triumph fueled a desire to give back, to guide others along the very path he had so painstakingly navigated. The echo of his first fluent sentence in that meeting still resonated, a reminder of what was possible. It was a sound that replaced the frustrating silence, a melody of newfound confidence and capability, signifying true linguistic freedom. His journey was a testament to empowerment, proving that dedication, smart strategies, and a willingness to step beyond comfort zones can truly transform one's communication abilities. Alex found his voice and in doing so found himself. So if you find yourself stuck, remember Alex's story. Read, listen, practice speaking, remember words creatively, and embrace your imperfections. Your voice is waiting to be unleashed. The journey is challenging but immensely rewarding.